Good evening and welcome to Bahrain International's Daily Show. We have a treat for you on our show, Bahrain Today, but before we move on, I would like to invite you to tell us your suggestions and opinions of our show through contacting us via email or Instagram shown on the screen. Stay tuned, we'll be right back. EDX Labs thrives towards innovation through world-class technologies from the Arab region in order to convert visionary ideas into fully functional platforms, and is an innovation hub that bridges the best capabilities offered by software houses, VCs and incubators to build, sustain and manage platforms. Joining us here in the studio is Maram Al-Aradi, Corporate Communication and PR Manager, and Mr. Mirza Asrar, the CEO and founder of EDX Labs. How are you?
We're good. How are you?
Good.
Thank you. Really good.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for being here. So my first question goes to Ms. Maram. What differentiates you from the regular accelerator or incubator?
Okay, so with regular accelerators or incubators, they'll just take you in as part of a program and let you scale and then you can go. With EDX Labs, we'll help you kickstart your project. We'll build it for you, whatever technology or platform you want, and manage it, build it, grow and scale across the globe.
Across the globe?
Yes.
That's a big one.
Yes.
So, sir, would you tell us more about that? Because
Sure.
offline you were telling me that people are not thinking as big as they should.
Yeah, this is the part that in this part of the world, we are not normally thinking to go global, especially in software technology. Software technologies does not require a big infrastructure to start with to build.
I agree.
Plus, if you have a good idea, why don't we think of building it so that we can service the rest of the world?
Yeah.
Normally in that aspect, we are more consumers, but let's change things around and sell it to the rest of the world. I've been trying to do it from the last 20 years. Have now made some progress in it.
All right.
Yeah,
Thank you for helping out. And how far is the progress? Can you tell us more about your success stories?
Okay. The progress is quite well now because what we have built today is already being used across 22 countries.
22.
We have got more than 100 corporate customers. Across those corporate customers, we are looking after in terms of, because EDX Labs is building primarily right now cybersecurity technologies.
Okay.
And those cybersecurity technologies, one of the company name is CTM360.
CTM360.
That is the one which is servicing across 22 countries today.
MashaAllah.
And we are going, inshallah, further. The goal is that
All right.
by the end of the year,
22
we should
countries
be,
is just the beginning, right? It's just,
we have to get to 193 countries.
Okay. Impressive. All right. So, sir, where do you see Bahrain in the fourth industrial revolution? And how can EDX Labs help?
Okay. Bahrain has a big role to play in the fourth industrial revolution, especially when you come to the Arab world. Okay. And fourth industrial revolution requires a good ecosystem, a good regulation base. And Bahrain is always the first in many things, and including this. They've already worked and are progressing in that area. There are a lot of regulations from the government side, and as well as like CBB, the financial authority, as well. They have rolled out the right rules when it comes to like fintech or AI. We were the first, I think, which we set up as
Digital banks?
digital banks are already being. Yeah, you're right. We are there also.
We're operational.
But CBB set up a lab for that purpose, a sandbox. So if anybody has a good idea, they can try it out with CBB. If it works out, they will provide the right regulations to roll it out.
Okay. So they're open to new ideas. They're not conservative. Change
They're the
is
most
the only
open.
constant, right?
The first
accepting
country in the Arab world which wanted to have cloud as the first policy was Bahrain.
AWS.
And this is why they brought in AWS into Bahrain. They succeeded in doing so.
Impressive. Very good. So this question is to you, Ms. Maram. And why did you choose Bahrain to start EDX Labs?
Well, Bahrain has always been business friendly. As you know, it's always been sold that way. It's in the center of the Gulf. We know it's so easy to set up businesses here. You know, EDB has been a great help. Tamkeen supports so much, and really, it's not difficult to start up your business here.
We have a very healthy ecosystem.
Yes,
you'd say.
we do.
All right. And
we are a proof of it
oh,
as an organization.
obviously, yeah.
You know, EDX Labs is just one company on the top as R&D, and we have already established our own 4 technology companies to learn from it so that we can extend the same services to more companies.
All right, impressive, very good. And what inspired the idea behind EDX Labs?
It goes back a long, there's a long story behind it. You know, I was born here in Saudi Arabia.
Right,
I graduated from King Fahd University.
right.
And I was running my businesses in late 80s. And then came the first Gulf War. At that time, I was selling compatible computers with an office in Hong Kong as well. But then that made me rethink of what we were doing here and why we were having this Gulf War where Iraq went into Kuwait, and wanted to figure out how is the best way I can play a role in trying to change the oil-based economy.
Okay.
And then it was that in this part of the world, we can easily build software technologies.
Right.
So I started trying to build that. And I came across a lot of hurdles in the sense that the ecosystem was missing.
Okay.
Then between mid 2004, 2005, I thought, you know what, I'm still struggling with it. Why don't I start thinking that I need to build an ecosystem which will also help other organizations who want to go global. So that brought up EDX Labs.
All right. Okay, so how long have you started EDX Labs so far now?
EDX Labs in a way was conceived 5 years back.
Okay.
But at that time it was my prime company, which was the technology of CTM 360. So out of CTM 360 we extracted 2 years back the R&D team and set up EDX Labs.
Okay. So Ms. Maram, what would you say, what are you most proud of so far since you've been working with EDX Labs?
So far, I've been proud that we've been able to launch 3, let's say, not 3, well, if you technically count EDX Labs as one of them, 4 companies in 1 year.
Okay.
And they're rolling fast, they all have business going, and really it's...
Globally?
Globally, yes. Well, we can scale, the thing is, it's a platform.
Right.
With platforms, you don't need much manpower.
Yeah.
It's all technology based,
Right.
and it's all software as a service. So
Right.
anyone, like you have a Google account, right?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
anyone across the globe can use a Google account, and
Obviously.
it's anyone,
Right. Internet.
So internet. So with our platforms, anyone can use them anywhere. It doesn't matter.
That's
And
precisely the whole thing. It's a platform which is available in the cloud.
Okay.
You be it in Brazil, you can start using our service.
yeah,
Excellent.
Just go online, subscribe to our service and start using the service.
Amazing.
But we need to build the service to that level where people will
obviously
qualify
that you
and-
were able to,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you are qualified. Yeah.
Another thing is the majority of our team is very young. Actually, we have an average of maybe 25 years old is the
Mashallah.
average age of people.
Yeah.
We focus on the youth mostly because
We are the rebels. This
Yeah.
is what we are. We try to change the world.
Yes, we do. And another thing is we live in an age where a 2-year-old can open up your iPhone and click
yeah,
YouTube
big
videos.
time.
See, I'm
So-
the outliner. I'm the only one who is of this age in the company.
What are you, 29?
My kids, my sons, and my daughter is working with me in the company. So you can
Alright.
imagine my...
Okay, good stuff, good stuff. All right, well, before we conclude this segment, would you like to say anything? Do you want to emphasize on something?
Yeah, thank you, Bahrain. Okay, that's what we are trying to say right now to everybody, because Bahrain has really enabled us to do this aspect. You know, the Bahrain government and the Bahrain Tamkeen, EDB, everybody was so much supportive in that, in helping us develop this idea to this level.
Right.
And now normally the government offices, you don't see anywhere, they'll call you and ask you, how can they help you further? This is
Okay.
what happens in Bahrain.
Wow. All right. Thank you. Viewers, don't go away. We'll be right back for more. They say that you can make anything by writing. Our next guest is Fatma Salim, an author and global publisher who has found her passion in writing from a young age to inspire others through words. So, Miss, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm great. So, would you tell us more about your passion? How did you discover your passion for writing?
I discovered my passion of writing originally through my dad, because my dad used to write in his young age. But then I also found out about writing through one of my friends who introduced me to online reading platform.
Okay.
And she told me to read books on there, but I found out that you can't just read books on there, you can write books as well. So I wrote over there fan fiction, anything that came to mind, and then I published a book.
You published a book, and how old are you?
I'm 15.
MashaAllah. And how old were you when you published the book?
14.
Wow, that's impressive. So, Ms. Fatma, what was the initial step that you took in order to pursue your writing career?
The initial step would be figuring out the material for my book, because I had a lot of material written from years before,
Right.
but then I had to put it in one book. So formatting and everything was by my own, because I self-published my book. I didn't have a publisher to guide me through it.
Right.
So I formatted, made the cover, everything on my own.
Okay, and how, like, is there an author and a pre-author and or somebody that organizes the paragraphs and proofreads it?
Yeah, there is if you are traditionally publishing, but
Okay.
if you're self-publishing, then you can hire someone for it.
Okay.
But I didn't. In my
You
case, I
didn't.
did it by myself.
Okay, impressive. And how's that go? How is the feedback from?
Feedback has been amazing. People have been so supportive, which I honestly didn't expect, but people are just, they're really, really kind to me. And
So tell me about your first book. What's the name?
my
what's
first
the
book
story?
is called Words for Bullets. It's Words for Bullets.
Words. Yeah.
It's a collection of poems, proses, and poetry. It deals with a lot of depression, heartbreak, love, sadness, all of the teenage emotions that any teenager would go through nowadays. And
Right.
yeah, it's
Okay.
all about that.
Okay. Cool. And what were the greatest challenges that you have faced in the field so far?
The greatest challenge would be my age, because since I'm so young, people generally have this stigma that how can a young person write a well-developed and nicely written book? But in my case,
You proved them wrong.
Yeah, I proved them wrong.
All right. Cool. So this is the biggest challenge. But what about, you were just telling me, because you self-made everything. You did
but
everything from A to
It
Z.
wasn't a challenge for me at all, because I did a lot of research. I figured out everything through researching it, asking other authors who have published their books as well.
Nice.
Internationally, I had a lot of author friends who were in America or somewhere else in the world, and I asked them a lot of questions and they guided me through it.
It's impressive. So who inspires you? Who's your favorite author that you like to?
My favorite author there are a lot of authors that I like, but my favorite poet would be Rupi Kaur. She wrote Milk and Honey and The Sun and the Flowers.
Okay.
She's an Indian-born Canadian poet, I guess, and she inspires me a lot.
What kind of poetry does she write?
She writes proses, poems, and she writes a lot of modern poetry, a lot of feminism.
Okay.
And then, yeah.
Do you get A's in your literature class?
English, yeah, all the time.
Oh,
English all the time. Other subjects, not so much.
Cool. So what is the difference between writing in verse and prose?
Writing in verse and prose. You could say that for me, writing in verse is more easier, because I am generally more of a natural poet than I am a natural fiction writer. But I do both, but still, poetry comes more natural to me.
Cool. And how do you feel to accomplish so much from a young age?
Accomplishing so much at a young age, it was really, really hard at first, but then I pulled through, and I had a lot of support from my parents, my colleagues, my friends, my teachers. My teachers, my school was really supportive of all of this, and yeah, so accomplishing it was hard, but then I never
Here you
gave up.
are. And so what about any future books coming soon?
Yeah,
Are you writing down?
I have 2 more books coming up.
Wow.
Another poetry
2
book.
more, not even 1 more. You're not working on one. You're like, look at you.
It's another poetry book called Unsaid. It's
Unsaid.
Unsaid, yeah. It's dealing more with the unspoken, the silent thoughts and emotions of people that they think but they never utter out loud.
Right.
And the second book will be, the other book will be a mafia romance book. So, but it's not just romance, it has a lot of message towards people. Yeah.
Okay. Mafia romance?
Yeah, mafia romance.
Is it like a gangster
Yeah,
falling
the
in
Sicilian
love?
mafia.
Cool. Sicily Mafia.
Yeah.
Where does he live? In New York, or is he
No,
living
Italy.
in Italy? So how do you balance between the writing and school and maybe social life?
Yeah, it's hard to balance all of that, but the thing is that my school is really supportive of it. So I have a lot of teachers that encourage me to keep writing. So I've never been.
You do whatever you gotta do.
Yeah.
And even after school, probably after school hours, they
Yeah.
come sit with you.
They help me. I ask my English teacher a lot of questions about what is right here and what is not right here in the story, in the novel, and she helps me a lot in that.
That's good. That's great. And so now that you are where you are at a very young age, do you have a message that you want to send out to people that I'm sure you inspire a lot of people? That what would you tell them?
I would definitely tell them to keep following their goals, keep following their passion, never give up, because giving up is just, it's failing. Even if you fail, at least you tried, right? So just follow your passion, go for it, and do what you do best. I'm
not kidding. I do seriously think of writing a non-fictional novel.
Yeah.
About Bahrain in the 1940s.
Wow.
I talked a lot about it with my grandpa. I wanted people to know how we were brought up, how the Lulu market was, how nobody used to eat chicken. Like whoever eats chicken before, back in the days, they would take the feathers of the chicken and keep them outside the house for them to show off we had chicken. People kept on eating fish, and that was their main course and all that. I really want to talk about that era, but one day I'll ask for your help.
Yeah, sure. I'm here for you if you want help.
Thank you, Ms. Fatma. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
You have a good day.
Thank you.
We truly enjoyed that wonderful segment, and now we'll be passing it on to Abdulrahman with his music segment.
Thank you, Muhammad. Today we have with us in the studio Zanai, who's going to be performing one of his original songs. Cool.
You used to run around sleeping with a fan, and now catching bodies, something home. The heartbreaker, pretty little liar now. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. But all we had was attraction, nothing more. A beautiful distraction, nothing more. Something that would last us through the cold. We slow danced on the campfire, burnt a hole. You play me fool. You play me fool. Yeah, in the Cherokee every night, pick you up, but not without a fight. Make up love, but not without a fight. In the backseat, mind out of sight. Magic carpet ride every night. Whole new world when I get inside. Whole new girl when she go outside. Can't wrap my head around all the lies, yeah. I ain't shallow, but you make me swim back to the show. You turned me up on you when you had those pretty clothes you wore. Diamonds in your eyes, but shoot them down the light you shone. Diamonds in your eyes, but shoot them down the light you shone. All we had was attraction and nothing more. A beautiful distraction and nothing more. Something that will last through the cold. We slow danced on the campfire, it burnt on. You play me fool, you play me fool. We used to hang out a lot way before. Went out for shisha and tea with the bros. I was so stupid, I had no idea. You had the massage, you like a fajita. Shot the flower power, that was your superpower. Lost your secret identity though. What I'm asking to made you no loving you, I've been a waste of my time. Rather sit back and watch seconds go by. I loved you way too much for my own good. You wrap me wrap on your fingers for word, but I'd rather love you from a distance. Let's keep the situation win-win. Only hope you learn from this is, cause if you haven't then it's by miss. All we had was attraction, nothing more. A beautiful distraction, nothing more. Something that would last us through the cold. We slow danced on the campfire, burnt on. You play me a fool, you play me a fool. You play me a fool. You play me a fool. Fool.
How's it going, guys? Today we're in the studio with Zanai, who is a third culture hip-hop and R&B recording artist, actor, singer-songwriter, and record producer. Born and raised in Bahrain, Zanai aims to bring his melting pot culture into the hip-hop world, blending Eastern and Western, showing his raw and polished side. As an artist, Zanai maintains his creative expression through sound, emotion, and context, each song representing a different mood or vibe. He plays all the instruments on his tracks, writes all the lyrics, produces all his beats, as well as engineers his own recordings. Well, thank you so much for being here. So my first question is, what inspired you to get into hip hop?
What inspired me?
Yeah.
Actually, okay, back in Boston, when I was there, I had a roommate who just started freestyling out of nowhere.
Okay.
And when I heard him freestyle, I was just like, oh my God, how is he doing that? He's just talking about things in, you know, in the room and like putting all these words together. And I was like, okay, so if that's happening, I really want to do it.
Okay.
And that's what really, really got me into it. And then, you know, I started listening to hip hop and seeing how they put words together, like, you know, playing on words and all
Word
these
schemes and stuff like that.
Exactly,
Yeah,
double
yeah.
entendres, metaphors, similes.
Okay.
Writing poetry, basically. But they were able to tell a good story to a beat using rhymes.
Definitely.
And that became really powerful to me. So then I was like, okay, I want to get into it,
Okay.
you know?
And I always say to people, you know, rap is like rhythm and poetry. That's really the fundamentals of hip hop, right?
Exactly.
So it's crazy how you say that because that's just so true. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah, exactly.
When you first started making music, did you ever think you would get into hip hop?
Absolutely not. Yeah, exactly. Because like the first thing, I mean, the first two albums I did, was Eminem and Jay-Z. But then I got into heavy metal after that.
Okay.
And after that, like for a long time in my life, I was like playing metal guitar and playing Meshuggah and Slipknot, all these like heavy bands. And then I went to Berkeley, and Berkeley's like, you know, a diaspora of like so many different kinds of music.
It's like the hub of it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you got like, you know, you get like people from so many different countries playing music of their folk, their genres, their own cultural background, you know, representing that. So that expanded my perspective on music.
Okay.
And so after that, I kept on like, you know, going down the rabbit hole. And then until I found a hip hop production teacher, and he was just like,
In your university?
in my university.
Wow,
So
okay.
he just taught me basics of hip hop production, and he was like, you gotta explore this. So he told me the history of hip hop. The history is what actually got me really into it. Like
Okay.
got me to respect the whole culture.
And how does it feel to control every aspect of your recording? Because you said you record, you mix, you engineer, you produce, you pretty much do everything, right? How does it feel to be in control of all of those things?
It feels like I'm a control freak.
Okay.
I mean, no, but honestly, it's because like, I want every song that I make to have exactly, you know, be in line with the message that I want to give.
Okay.
Whether it's like in the production or it's in the instrument recording, the lyric writing, or even the engineering, it has to be in line with my message.
Okay.
Right? So I just want that to, sometimes I tend to be very like particular, especially even if it's a chord, you know? If one chord, even though the note is right in the chord, theoretically,
Sonically, it's different.
if it's sonically it sounds off, then I'm like, no, we got to use a different chord.
Yes.
Because that makes all the difference, how you voice things.
So being, you know, a hip hop artist, a producer, an engineer, I'm assuming you're a perfectionist, right? To an extent.
Super perfectionist, actually. But I mean, I don't let it bring me down too much. I know like there is that voice that's always like, nah, it could be better, it could be better. But at some point you got to let go, you know?
Yeah.
Because, you know, the world has to hear it.
And can you speak to us a little bit about your new mixtape?
The new mixtape?
Yes.
I mean, it's actually unofficially released, so it's not actually a proper album.
Okay.
But it's basically, Project X is just like a bunch of emotions that I felt when I came back from Boston.
Okay.
And like, I just had to like, you know, express that. So I made different types of songs, and like, you know, each song represents a certain part of me that I really felt like needed to be expressed.
Okay.
So that's basically what
That's
Project
basically
X is.
it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And I woke up one day, okay, and I felt like, okay, if this was my last day on earth, you know, would I just keep all this music with me, or should I just share
So
it?
you gotta drop it, you gotta share it to the world, right?
Exactly, that's exactly what I did. So I just
Definitely.
dropped the album, and I'm like, okay, let it do what it got, you know,
Yeah.
what it's got to do. I just gave it to the universe.
Okay. So, I mean, speaking about music,
Yeah.
have you collaborated with any other musicians in Bahrain? Are you planning to? What is your plan exactly?
100%. I
Okay.
definitely want to collaborate. And this is the year that I really want to like, you know, focus more on collaboration than my own thing. Because I've been holed up in my studio, but that's not really the way to connect to people, you know? Plus, I know that you're a rapper, so I definitely want to collaborate with you.
Appreciate
you know, I have
it.
a bunch of beats in mind for you. So,
All right, cool.
yeah.
And just to conclude, is there any message you'd like to convey to the public? And in addition to that, what advice would you give to aspiring artists?
I'll start with the upcoming artists first.
Okay.
Upcoming artists, no matter what you have, you know, what you really, really want to do, no matter what how far set your goals are and how unrealistic they sound, it's 100% possible to get there. You just have to be sincere with yourself and work really, really hard, you know? And it is, it's a very lonely journey. You know, you'll have people who like will discourage you, and then you'll have people who encourage you. Always keep the people who encourage you around,
Okay.
because they make the biggest difference, especially to you and your art.
All right.
To the public, please support local artists. I cannot like emphasize that fact enough, because you know there's so many people and so many artists in Bahrain. It's not just musicians. I mean,
Yeah.
poets, painters, you know, writers and dancers. There's a thriving community that really wants to be respected, and no, more than respected, recognized and supported. And I feel like the public could, you know, even just turning the attention towards these people,
Shift the attention towards these creative individuals that deserve the attention.
will make all the difference to Bahrain.
Definitely.
And make it a much better place. you know?
Definitely. And I mean, just to conclude, you as an artist,
Yeah.
let's say 5 years ago compared to now, do you think that you've grown as an artist? You've established yourself to a greater extent?
100%. Like 200%.
Okay.
Definitely. I mean, every experience that you get is what makes your art more mature, you know? Whether it's
Okay.
a breakup or it's like, you know, you've lost some things. It's
Anything,
a loss.
really.
Anything, honestly.
Yeah.
You take inspiration from your, you know, your inner
Your
journey.
inner core and your journey.
Exactly. And the more you can do that, the more you break yourself down, the more true and honest you become to the people around you. And the people who, you know, you never know that one day your song may be like, you know, blowing up in another country.
Definitely.
Because you've really, you know, connected to them in a certain way.
Yeah, I've actually heard stories where someone like was famous in Japan for 20 years and had no idea. So
you serious?
that links on to your point. It's
Well,
crazy.
I mean, thank God for Spotify.
Yeah.
Spotify for artists, analytics and everything.
Definitely.
Now we know where it's going to happen. But
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here.
Yo, thank you so much, man.
I really appreciate it too. Thank you
you.
so much.
All right.
Guys, I hope you enjoyed that great segment with Zanai and his outstanding performance. I'll leave you now with Mohammed Al-Sarraj for more.
Viewers, we have reached the end of our episode. I would like to thank all our guests from EDX Labs for their leading innovation, Fatma for sharing with us her latest publishing, and Zinai for his great performance. Don't forget, contact us via our social accounts shown below on the screen for any further inquiries. Until next time, and goodbye.